Scenes from a deadly attack at Camp Liberty in Iraq. More than 20 people killed after a barrage of rockets slammed into the former military base near Baghdad's International Airport. As we welcome you back to Newsmax Prime, I can tell you I visited that camp when we had American troops there. Now it houses members of the People's Mujahideen of Iran, an opposition group that helped the U.S. military and were promised protection. But Iraq's current Shiite-led government considers their presence in Iraq illegal. So what does this all mean going forward? For more, let's welcome in retired U.S. Army Colonel Wesley Martin. He's worked with U.S.-aligned Iranian dissidents known as the Mujahideen. Also joining us from out in Phoenix, radio talk show host Josh Bernstein, host of the eponymously named Josh Bernstein Show. Welcome to you both here tonight on Newsmax Prime. Wes, what are you hearing about what went on the ground at Camp Liberty?
At 7:40 last night, you were right. They received 80 rockets, 220 millimeter, rockets that came into the camp. 20 people have been killed and more than 20 wounded.
Now, we know about the casualties. What about the responsibility for the attack? Who did this, Colonel? Who do you suspect?
Right now, all fingers are pointing towards the organization of al-Batit, his Muqta army, which is pro-Iranian. He has been pro-Iranian since the Maliki days. He has said he'll do anything to support the Ayatollah in Tehran. So
this is Iraqi cooperation with the Iranian government. Josh, it is worth noting that the Iraqi government failed to investigate previous attacks on Camp Ashraf and Camp Liberty, and no one's ever been held to account. So is the Iraqi government purposely turning a blind eye to all of this?
Well, I think what you have here that's been taking place now in Iraq is really little Iran, unfortunately. Right now, you've got the population of Iraq well over 50% Shia Muslims, and this is just another attempt for the Shia influence in Iraq to take over the government of Iraq. And this is just another example of that. Now, way back when we were taking troops out of Iraq, they signed an agreement of understanding, a memorandum of understanding that we were going to protect the Mech rebels. These are the folks that are the mullahs, if you will, in Iran. These are kind of the dissidents, if you will. And so far, we have not been able to do that. And it just goes to show you that when you pull out of a war zone too quick without reinforcements, things like this can happen.
Colonel, earlier this year, you called Camp Liberty an extermination camp in waiting. Do you think the Obama administration will do anything now after yesterday's horrific attack?
We're certainly working on it. Unfortunately, Barack Obama campaigned on redistribution of wealth. What we got is redistribution of power. Everybody's getting the power except us. And you mentioned earlier about the investigation not being done by the Iraqi government, UN, or State Department. I have here the investigation of all the attacks I did that concerned all 6 of them at Ashraf and Liberty.
And so you have the information right there.
I held it up at the White House outside when we had a rally. As soon as I held this up and said State Department is covering up what has happened, immediately Secret Service shut us down and we had to leave. This administration does not want to hear the truth.
Doesn't want anyone to hear the truth, it doesn't appear, taking away your First Amendment right to petition for redress of grievances. About a minute remains. Josh, does anything about this attack in terms of the geopolitical atmosphere indicate that Iran has been emboldened with this nuclear agreement that so many are skeptical of, that this administration was so insistent and indulging on receiving?
Question, JD, that they have been emboldened by our lack of leadership on the geopolitical stage. It just goes to show you that the Iranians have continuously cheated on the agreements. They're going to get $150 billion in relief efforts as far as sanction relief are concerned. And now the Navy chief of the Iranian Navy has now said that there's going to be warships in the Atlantic Ocean. It just goes to show you that when you take a step back on the world stage and you allow the red line in Syria to continue with the Russian influence, the Chinese influence, and the Iranian new alliance taking place in and on the ground in Syria and around the Middle East, we have taken a step back in foreign policy, and the enemy of my enemy is my friend foreign policy is extremely dangerous.
Fair enough. Gentlemen, we ask you to keep an eye on it. We'll have you back soon. Colonel Wes Martin in Pennsylvania, Josh Bernstein in Arizona, we thank you. Coming up next, a creepy story appropriate for the night before Halloween.